Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks a lot, Ken, and thank you for tuning into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Rich Walsh. I'll be joined by Andrew Fillipponi in a matter of moments over to 93.7 The Fan Cam, and we're going to be talking about Brandon Aiyuk. Things are changing by the minute here of what potentially can happen, and Pony is right in the middle. It could happen during the show. We might be able to tell the story during the show. I saw that Adam Schefter said the Patriots were out. You've been all over this, and you just said something. You just tweeted something out a little bit earlier saying that they believe that they're going to land Brandon Aiyuk. What are you hearing? What's going to happen?
Ricgh, I don't think things have changed that much, at least on the Steelers' end of things. They've always believed, and I've said as much on my radio show, on this show, and I've tweeted, that they always believe, at least recently, as in the last couple of days, that Brandon Aiyuk wanted to play here, wants to play for the Steelers, and that they're going to give him the money. If you remember here, Ricgh, it was this guy out in San Francisco, Matt Maiocco, who said the Patriots were in and the Steelers were out. And then Adam Schefter today did a total 180. He said the Steelers were not a landing spot, and then an hour later said, yes, they are. I just think that those reporters did not have their ducks in a row. They weren't talking to the right people. And I think all along, the Steelers have felt like the ball is in Aiyuk's court, and he wants to dribble that ball right here to Pittsburgh and play for the Steelers next year.
You know, I heard that the Steelers had potentially something going on around the draft, but in the last 2 weeks, I've been hearing that they were out of it because the 49ers wanted too much, and they didn't want to give up a lot of assets to get a guy and then have to pay him a ton of money. It seems like that has changed now.
Well, you're saying things that the Steelers.
I'm saying the Steelers don't want to give up they don't want to give up a first-round draft pick. Well, so the asking price had to have come down.
Well, last I heard, the Steelers were not going to give up a first-round pick in this deal, and there might be a player who goes back to San Francisco, and I don't even think it's going to be a wide receiver who they think might start for them or help them at another position. It could very well be James Daniels. I've heard a lot of James Daniels smoke over the last 2 days because Trent Williams, who's a tackle, obviously the best in football, isn't there right now, and they are kind of reconfiguring their entire offensive line, and they think they might be short at guard, and Daniels could plug and play and start right away as a solid player. So that's something to keep in mind here. I don't think that they like Calvin Austin as much as they do Amari Cooper or Kendrick Bourne in New England, but maybe they get him back in this trade because they just want another body at the position. I tweeted this out a little while ago, Ricgh. I really believe that the stuff about New England and Cleveland was planted. It was put out there in the event that the Steelers trade for Aiyuk. And then when 49ers fans are livid that their team did not get as much back in a trade, they will blame Aiyuk and not the general manager, John Lynch, for forcing his way to Pittsburgh when there were better offers on the table with the Patriots and Browns.
All right, the big obstacle here is a long-term deal. What do you feel like?
No, I don't think it is.
You don't think it is?
I disagree. I disagree with you on that. I think the long-term deal's been done. I think the Aiyuk money part was the easiest facet of this negotiation, which is why Aiyuk wants to come here. The Steelers set it up with that Highsmith restructuring. They've got $80 million in cap space for next year. Look, I heard he was going to take a little bit of a discount, but I'm not sure what discount means with wide receivers, Ricgh, because with the Justin Jefferson new deal, that completely changed the market. A.J. Brown's making $32 million. So I don't know if that means that Aiyuk's going to take a little less than Brown to come play here, or if it means he's going to take less than Jefferson. I can't imagine the Steelers are going to pay him Jefferson money. I heard, and I'm not saying that this is gospel, so don't quote me on this. I heard it might be for as little, in air quotes, as little as $28 million a year, which would actually still make him one of the highest paid wide receivers in football, but it wouldn't make him the highest paid player on the team because T.J. Watt's making a little bit more than $28 million.
It would make him theoretically the highest paid player on offense if you don't count the extra money that Russell Wilson is getting. All right, my last question before we go to a break. Do you think he is worth $28 million a year?
I do. I think for the Steelers he is. I think obviously his numbers are somewhat inflated by playing in San Francisco, but he's an explosive playmaker. The two guys in the NFL who led the league in yards per catch last year were George Pickens and Brandon Aiyuk. So picture those guys in the same offense, keeping safeties deep, keeping safeties honest with an improved offensive line and the better run game with Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, and a much better play caller, of course, in Arthur Smith. So, yeah, I do for the Steelers. With the cap going up, they're not paying a quarterback. I think he is worth that money, Richie.
All right, but they'll have to pay a quarterback next year. We got to take a break. We're taking your phone calls coming up next, 412-575-2600. All right, welcome back. This is our GMC tweet of the night from Andrew McCutcheon. What's up, guys? I don't know what we're doing. That was during the game. He tweeted that. They finally got going, and right now it doesn't look good, down 4-0. Pony, this could be the beginning of the end for the Buccos race in the wild card. They have 3 against San Diego. Then they go out to L.A. and again, 3 more against San Diego. So these are this is, I thought, last series was the most critical. Now this is the most critical series.
Yeah, it just highlights what a blown opportunity Sunday was, especially. You're up 4-0 with Skeens on the mound. And because of a lot of bad managerial decisions by Derek Shelton, you lost that game. Now, today, Mother Nature didn't cooperate, although it did knock their starting pitcher out of the game, who's excellent, Dylan Cease. So, in a way, that helped you. You're not able to take advantage of that. Some blunders there defensively by the Pirates here to start this game. Look, Richie, if they lose this, with the Brewers blowing out the Braves tonight, they're going to be 7 back in the NL Central, and they're going to be 5. Well, they're going to not be 5 out. They'll be 4.5 out in the wild card race. So not good at all. And running out of daylight here because you're going out west, like you said. They don't play really a bad team until the end of August when they match up with the Cubs and Reds, and by then they could be out of it if they keep this up.
All right, let's go out to the phone lines. We got DJ out in Pittsburgh.
DJ.
What's up, DJ?
Hey guys, it's only around 7:30 in California right now. Is there any way that this deal can get done tonight? I want this deal to happen so bad. We need him to get in town here already. Let's just make this happen.
This is our #1 Conquer and Go One Better Call of the night. By the way, doesn't DJ sound a little bit like Mark Caboli? Is he impersonating Mark Caboli? I would like to see this deal get done. My big question is what's going to happen in the locker room? What is the dynamic between him and George Pickens going to be if this does happen?
If I'm Pickens, I love it. If I'm Pickens, I feel like this is going to allow for me to put up numbers, and if I can't get paid here, I'm going to get paid somewhere else. Wide receivers now, look at what Deontay Johnson got paid by the Steelers. You don't have to be great in order to find the big payday. And so there's so much talent there. As long as he doesn't blow up, even if he has the kind of year he did last year, somebody's going to want to pay this guy. So that's how I would look at it. He's going to take pressure off of Pickens because there's going to be fewer double teams, and that should allow for Pickens to put up big numbers, Richie. If Chris Carter and Randy Moss can coexist, if Lynn Swann and John Stallworth can coexist, I think Brandon Aiyuk and George Pickens can get along.
Oh, I'm talking about the personality. Pickens wants the ball.
Well, he's got to grow up, Richie, but it's easier to get the ball when you're not the entire focus of the opposing defense.
All right, let's go out to Josiah out in San Antonio. How you doing, Josiah?
All right, so Rich, hey Andrew.
Hey.
Hey.
Just two quick points. One is on Freiermuth. Listen, I would like to see the Steelers use him more. I feel like they're not using him correctly. I feel like he could be. Now, I'm not saying he is Heath Miller, but I would like to see them use some as like Heath Miller, a blanket guy that you can easily go to. And just real quick with the Aiyuk thing, they should go all in for them. What are they waiting for? I don't want to hear anything from upper management about draft picks or waiting 2 or 3 years down the line. The Steelers need to go all in now and win. And I'm tired of them pity-patting around and waiting for it.
Yeah, Josiah, I agree with you. They have a short window here. Maybe not short, but 3-4 years, depending on the quarterback situation. Definitely with that defense. It's better to try to do it now and try to win now with these pieces, especially with that defense. But here, what I want to ask you, Pony, is so you're going to tie up potentially. You're going to have to re-sign Pickens, right?
No.
You don't?
You don't have to. I mean,
but
you
that
might
would be
want to.
if you do, you'd be tying up $50 million on your receiver. They're close to getting a deal done with Freiermuth. What's he going to make? $10 million a year, probably somewhere around there, I'm guessing.
Well, that's a good question because I thought Freiermuth was going to get done right when they got to camp. I know he was extremely optimistic. He thought a deal was going to be done. I heard his agent was there too, taking in practices. And so is there a correlation? You know, are they trying to get this deal done, and might that cause them to readjust on Freiermuth? I mean, I had heard that the 49ers were interested in Freiermuth being a part of this deal. Now, I don't think he will be. I don't think the Steelers have to do that, but I know that they were at least curious and looked into the possibility of Freiermuth being a part of this trade. You know, here's my issue with Freiermuth.
I heard
Richie.
it's going to get done in a couple weeks.
Well, okay, great, because I heard the same thing when they got to camp, and we're still waiting. Maybe it will get done. I'm not saying it won't. But here's my only issue with Freiermuth. This is my opinion. I have not seen him yet live up to the hype of. I know he was a second-round pick and not a first-round pick. I've not seen it yet. He's gotten injured a lot. The stats, the game in Cincinnati with Kenny with no Canada was great, but that was really his only big game. He doesn't block great. I mean, I think a good receiving tight end is in there. I was very bullish on the guy when he got drafted, but my opinion, they would be paying him more off of potential and not production if they give him that contract you're talking about, over $10 million a year.
All right, let's go out to Dave in South Park. How you doing, Dave?
Hey, Rich. Just want to talk about. I know where the Pirates are going in this game. They're losing, but watching the whole water debacle, I remember them sucking off water in Three River Stadium in like 2 minutes. These guys couldn't scrape off, water in like 2 hours. It's kind of ridiculous. What's up with that?
Well, I think they were dealing with that dirt out there. It's a little bit different. I think you had a lot of AstroTurf at Three Rivers, if I'm not mistaken. I've been there a bunch of times. I don't know. I think the warning track was rubber at Three Rivers compared to actual dirt. And the dirt, I don't know. Must be a problem with the drainage system that the dirt seeped into the. I'm not a plumber. I don't know, but I'd imagine that they had to figure out a way to get the water out and then get the water off the top of that dirt.
The only thing I wonder about with this situation is it seemed like they had a similar issue that started to pop up on Saturday, and it just got worse for this game tonight. Now, I'm not a drainage expert. I trust my plumbing to other people who do a marvelous job, who I talk about on my radio show. But look, yeah, it's just wild to me that a game could get delayed that long, Richie, because of a drainage problem. You don't think of that with a stadium like PNC Park. You think of that in a place like Oakland, that Coliseum, which was such a dump. You and me saw football games there. You'd get high just from the secondhand marijuana walking in, and their press box dining upstairs, it was like hot dogs and big canteens of coffee like you were at a Pee Wee football game on the weekend. It was unbelievable for an NFL game, how low rent it was there in Oakland for those games. They didn't have an X-ray machine. Remember that, Richie?
I remember. I was at that game.
I was there for that. Yeah, so was I.
Do you, you see greens drain faster than this out on tour, even local ones, after bigger rainstorms. So it is concerning.
Absolutely.
It's something that they got to address, I would imagine, here soon, because you can't have an extra hour and a half delay because of rain, and people, you want people to stick around for this. All right, let's go back to the Steelers. You know, if you had to speculate if this deal is going to get done, it's going to have to get done in the next couple days, right?
You would think so. I don't think it has to, but I think both sides are motivated to get it done now. I mean, I do think that San Francisco wants to shift their attention to Trent Williams, who didn't show up to camp, and I think they deem him much more valuable because he's the best left tackle in football. The NFL players just voted him as such, said he was actually a better player than T.J. Watt, which is interesting. So I think that's what they want to do. Eventually, they're going to have to pay Purdy next year. And they've got Deebo Samuel and George Kittle that have contracts that are coming up soon. So they drafted Pearsall. They re-signed Jennings. I just think the writing has been on the wall there for a while with Aiyuk. And I think San Francisco thought two things, Richie, that he might show up there and it might be a T. Higgins situation where he got there and he's like, you know what? I'm not happy with my contract, but let's just play this year and see what happens, which is exactly what Higgins is doing in Cincinnati. No, he was still annoyed and still ticked off. He felt like he was lied to. And then the other thing is here that, like, I feel like they can win without him. I feel like Kyle Shanahan is so arrogant that he looks at Brandon Aiyuk as a disposable part. And maybe they thought that another team would come in with an insane trade offer for him that was a contender that Aiyuk wanted to play for, like Washington maybe because of Jaden Daniels, not that they're a contender. But I do think he's loved Mike Tomlin and the Steelers for a long time and has wanted to make that happen.
What gets it done? A second rounder and a player?
You know, this is not anything I've been told for sure, but I would not be surprised if James Daniels in a second-round pick, maybe another late-round pick gets thrown in, but I think James Daniels in a second might get it done, Richie.
And you have to have this deal worked out, like you said. I mean, the Steelers aren't going to trade these two assets if they know they don't have a deal in place.
Rich, the one thing I can assure you with 99.999% certainty is that the contract with Aiyuk is not the sticking point or holding up this trade whatsoever.
Well, that's good to know. We got to take a break. Back in a couple of minutes. Good stuff. All right, now it's time to bring in Ken Rice to find out what's coming up on KDKA News at 11. Ken?
Hey, Rich. Tonight, KDKA First Alert meteorologist Kristen Emery on what's next after the storms move out. Plus, Vice President Harris and her new running mate hit the campaign trail for the first time as a team. And local school bus companies are sounding the alarm about a shortage of drivers, all coming up at 11. Rich, see you then.
All right, thanks a lot, Ken. Pony, I got a tweet here. Is it too soon to say the Pirate season is slipping away? That's from Frank Roche. If not, it's getting close.
No, because of what happened to Arizona. I mean, as far as the wild card goes, if they lose, say, 2 or 3 to San Diego and lose 4 or 6 on this homestand, then go out west, absolutely, I think their playoff hopes are dangling and hanging by a thread, which is much better than the Steelers' chances of getting Brandon Aiyuk right now.
Well, that's good news. You know, it would happen this week, though, right, if it does happen.
Richie, could you imagine tomorrow, 8/7/24, an Aiyuk extension and a Sidney Crosby deal?
Oh, yeah.
All on the same day?
You're right.
I'm just saying.
You're just saying.
I'm just saying.
I heard there's something that could happen with that, too. 8-7 makes sense, Pony. We'll see you tomorrow. See if that's true. Thanks a lot, Pony. We'll see you next week. Hopefully we see you guys over on KDKA News right now.